If you put a lot of effort and time into your channel, you've learned the strategies, you made the videos, like you've done everything that you were supposed to do, and it's still not moving the way that you hoped. I want to talk to you about something that most YouTube advice completely skips over. It's not another tactic, not another framework, like something underneath all of that that nobody seems to want to address. I realized that there were some blind spots that were not even on my radar. I know some of these same things might be holding a lot of you back, so please don't make your next video or completely stop posting until you've at least considered all of these, because one of them could be the missing piece that finally gets your audience to show up like never before. So most of us start creating with a clear picture of what we want to build. So we know our topic, we know who we want to reach, and we know why we're doing it. And then we go online and we start studying what works, and we begin modeling what the big creators in our space are doing. And somewhere in that process, your original direction gets blurry. So I did this for a while. I was adding music and quite a bit of graphics to my videos because the bigger channels in my space were doing it. And it worked. I mean, I had a couple of videos go past 18,000 views early on, but when I looked at who was actually watching, like I realized that wasn't the audience that I wanted to build with. So I removed the music and I minimized the graphics, knowing it's going to cost me some views of certain viewers, right? I know that because I had a decision to make that most people never stop to think about. There are two completely different games being played on YouTube right now, and the strategies that work in one game will actively work against you in the other. The first game is built around getting as many eyes on your content as possible. So this is about volume, broad topics, content designed to appeal to as many people as you can reach. And for some creators, that's exactly the channel they want to build. So there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a cost. You start making content for an audience you don't actually want to build with. And slowly, the reason that you started doing this, it's going to get harder. So this leads me to the second game, which is about building trust with a specific group of people who need what you have. So you don't need millions of subscribers for that to work. You need the right people, the ones who keep coming back because you're the creator in the space that actually gets them. So both of these paths can work. And honestly, the most sustainable channels find a way to do both. Enough reach to get discovered, but enough trust to make people stay. But here's where it goes wrong. They fall into one without ever consciously choosing it. And when the game that you're playing doesn't actually match what you want to build, every video is going to feel like a chore. So that feeling shows up in the content. So I've seen this time and time and again. So the question isn't, which game is better? Like the question is, are you choosing on purpose or are you just going along with what everybody else is doing? So picture the last time that you were deep into making something that you were actually locked into. You were in the moment, not thinking about whether it would work or whether it would perform, not about the thumbnail, just like fully in the content. So that's the version of you that your best content comes from. So when you're creating to genuinely serve someone, your instincts are pointed outward. So what does this person need to hear? Like, what's the clearest way to say it? Like, will this actually help them? So when you're creating to be approved of, like those same instincts turn inward. You start to say, is this good enough? Like, will they judge me? What if they think that I don't know what I'm talking about? So I see this when I work with other creators. So I come from an engineering and entrepreneur background. So I love solving hard problems. So when I look at what isn't working on someone's channel, like I naturally treat it as a system to look at. And I know that sometimes that lands wrong. So they hear like you're a problem that needs fixing. So when you're creating from a place of needing approval, like your nervous system is in a defensive state. So every choice gets filtered through, will this make them think less of me? And the content that comes out of that state, it feels different to your audience. It gets safe, like you start to get cautious. And when that's the state that you're creating every time you sit down to create, like you're not creating anymore. Like you're performing for approval and your audience can feel the difference. So here's a distinction that changed how I think about this. So we all feel fear at some point when creating. So fear says that your video might fail. And then shame says that you are the failure. So fear is about the work. Shame is about your identity. So when shame is underneath the process, a video that doesn't perform the way that you hope doesn't just feel disappointing. Like it feeds that voice in your head that was already questioning whether you continue to keep posting on YouTube. So your nervous system shuts down the state that creates the best content. So that open, generous, I genuinely want to help somebody on the other side of the camera, and replaces it with the state that's designed to protect you from judgment. So the way back isn't to stop caring about what your audience thinks. So the shift is learning to create from that genuine desire rather than the need for them to validate that you're worthy of being here. So if that approval seeking state is what's getting in the way, should you just fake confidence until you actually have it? So there's something uncomfortable I want to say out loud. So the creators in your feed who project the most confidence, like the ones who speak with zero hesitation, who have an answer for everything, like who never seem to doubt themselves. They're not always the most qualified ones or the most confident behind camera. And audiences reward them for it anyway. Like, think about the business and entrepreneurship space on YouTube. So you've got creators confidently telling people how to build a six-figure business with total conviction, like zero hesitation, and their audience eats it up. Like, the comments are full of people thanking them, calling it life-changing on some of them. I've seen them. I watched some of them. So meanwhile, someone who's actually built multiple businesses, like who understands the real complexity and the real risk, is sitting on their hands because they're not sure they know enough to say out loud. I mean, that's not a glitch. Like, that's a documented psychological pattern. So confidence reads as competence, even when it isn't. And here's what makes that frustrating. The same pattern works in the opposite direction. So have you ever been held back from sharing something that you weren't completely sure you knew enough about? Even after spending months or years studying that exact topic or living it with experience, the research is consistent on this. The more you actually know about something, the more aware you become of what you don't know. So this pattern has a name. I know a lot of you already know. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So a concept that came out of research of Cornell University, showing that people with a limited knowledge in a given area tend to significantly overestimate their competence. So while people who actually know the subject like deeply tend to underestimate it. So that's not just an interesting psychological concept, like that's the exact dynamic playing out in your comment section. So here you are, like you've done the work, you know the things, you've lived the things, and you're second guessing every sentence. So 70% of high achievers experience imposter syndrome. So that's CEOs, you have world leaders, like top performers across every field. Like, you are not the exception. Like, you're in good company. So the problem isn't the doubt. The problem is getting stuck on either end. Like, seeing clearly where you actually are is the first step. And as for faking it, I'll get back to that in a moment. So first I want to show you what this actually looks like when you sit down to make a video. I almost didn't make this video because of overthinking. And I wish I could tell you that it gets easier. From what I can tell from the other creators who've been doing this for some time, they experience the same thing. Like, it doesn't disappear. It's going to fluctuate. So some weeks you're locked in, and other weeks you can't just seem to get the content flowing, even if you have a system. So here's where it shows up for me the most. So the hook. So you're sitting there asking, is this hook strong enough that my existing viewers don't feel like I'm performing for new people? But is it also accessible enough that someone who's never seen my content can follow along? Because we need both. Like, we need to actually hold the people who already trust us while still being able to grow. So that tension between those two things creates a specific kind of paralysis that doesn't get talked about enough. Like, when you've rewritten your hook so many times that you've completely lost the original idea underneath it, when you can no longer tell what you're even trying to say in the first place, like, that's not even perfectionism. Like, that's overthinking. And that overthinking loop that you've created in your mind is destroying your momentum. So when you eventually publish something that you know is 80% of what you could have done for whatever reason, like life got busy, like maybe you got impatient, but then it outperforms the video that you agonized over for 3 times as long, like, that's not luck and it's not random. That's what happens when your content comes from a creative state instead of a defensive one. The audience can easily feel the difference. Overthinking doesn't make your videos better. Like, most of the time, it just makes them safer. So what works for me is when I can't get an idea where I want it, like, I put it down. So I'll step away and I put it on some meditation music and I come back to the present moment because I've gone way too far in my head. If that doesn't shift it, then I ask myself this one question: what's the absolute minimum that I need to do right now to make this work? Then I leave it open for refinement as I move through the rest of the work. So the key is that you don't stay stuck. You move forward and then you come back, especially on the hook. So if you can come back with a fresh set of eyes and see a clear improvement for the hook, then you take it. And that's not overthinking, that's just finishing the job. But none of this answers the deeper question. What do you do when you've done everything right and nothing is moving yet? So for 9 years, nobody broke the 4-minute mile because nobody believed it was possible. So the barrier wasn't in the body, like, it was in the mind. So Roger Bannister broke it, and over 2,000 athletes have been able to break it since then. The physical capability was always there. What shifted was the belief that it could be done. Have you ever held back from fully committing to your channel because you were waiting for it to show signs of working first? Like, that's not caution. That's waiting for the proof to give you the belief that is supposed to come first. So the gap between where you are and the channel that you want to build, it's not your content quality. Like between you and that version of your channel, there's just mostly the decision to fully believe in it before anyone else does. So what I do, and I've practiced this since early on, so is operate as if I'm where I want to be. Like not as a performance for anyone watching, but as an internal standard that I hold myself to when I sit down to create. So I create from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. So I remind myself that I have what I need right now to genuinely help the person watching this video. I mean, it may not be perfect, but it's enough. And I've made peace with that. Because here's what I realized about who I'm actually making this video for. I'm not trying to reach everyone. I'm trying to reach that person who is just a few steps behind where I'm actually right now. So that version of myself from a couple of years ago who needed someone to help them see what is possible. And you already have what you need for that specific person that your content is meant to reach. Now, let me show you the specific strategy that works once all of this is in place. And I want to start with something that most of us already know from tightening a bolt. So I'll come back to it shortly. So one of the questions that I get most often, some version of this, is how do you get discovered when nobody knows who you are yet? So you can have great content, you have the right mindset, the right game plan, but if no one is seeing it, none of it matters. And the honest answer is that you don't have to wait for the algorithm to find you. So let me explain it this way. So picture an M12 bolt. So that's just a bolt with 12 millimeters in diameter. So that's the kind that you find like on a car engine head. So it's torqued down so tight that it's not going to go anywhere. So you put a standard ratchet wrench on it and you pull with everything you have. Like that bolt is probably not going to move. Not because you're not strong enough, because the short handle can't generate enough torque to break it loose. Now you take that same ratchet wrench and you attach a long breaker bar to it, a 2-foot extension that gives you dramatically more distance from the bolt. So I mean, you're still using the same hands and the same amount of force that you used earlier with the short handle. So the bolt's gonna break loose because the physics is now working in your favor. So nothing changed about your effort. It was the leverage that multiplied what the effort could actually do. So that's exactly what you can do on YouTube. Instead of trying to generate all of your own momentum from scratch, you can attach your content to the momentum that already exists and let that amplify what you're already putting out. So when a creator in your niche has a video that has 100,000 views, that video already has an audience actively watching it. YouTube already knows exactly who those viewers are. It's already deciding which videos to show them next. And if you make a video on the same topic from a different angle, covering what they didn't cover well, there's a real chance that you're going to appear in that suggested feed right next to them. So the algorithm tends to be generous with impressions in that position because that's where the viewers already are. You're not building from zero. You're showing up next to momentum that already exists. So think about what it actually means to open a business next to, let's say, a Walmart. You're not copying what Walmart sells. Like you're not trying to be Walmart. You're choosing a location where large numbers of people already are coming in regularly. And you're serving the ones who walk past your door with something that Walmart doesn't offer them. Like that's leverage. So you're using the existing traffic as momentum as your longer handle. And here's the part that's easy to miss when you try this. You can't just appear next to a bigger video and expect it to work. Like your video has to genuinely deliver on what the title promises. If it doesn't, like the viewers are going to leave fast. The algorithm reads that as a bad signal and it stops showing your video. Then you need to use those videos as entry points. You don't have to keep making these types of videos. Someone's going to discover you through a topic that they were already searching or watching. And once they're in, your other content converts them into someone who comes back specifically for you. That's how you build an audience faster without abandoning what makes your channel yours. So you earn the attention strategically, and then you keep it by delivering on the trust that you've built with that viewer. So if you're watching my content, I know you're a smart creator. So let's do smart things to win. There's one more piece. YouTube has a very specific way of deciding whether to push your content to new people or keep it buried. I broke that down in this video right here. Watch that one next.